Welcome to episode 31 of Sketch Support. This month I've got a new free 2-page sketch that you can download at scrapbookgeneration.com. And in this video, I'm going to show you 3 layouts that I have created from that 2-page sketch, with each layout looking completely different. Sketch Support is all about showing how you can customize and adapt a sketch to fit your needs. And throughout this video, when I share my layouts, I'm going to go over the how and the why I change things up to fit my needs. So I've got a few announcements before I jump into the rest of this video. The first one is one that I'm really excited about. If you've been around here for a while, you know that previously I had a Facebook group called Sketch Support, same as this series. And in that group, I had layout galleries for each of the free Sketch Support sketches. But I kind of got busy and wasn't keeping up with it as much. But now that I am making all kinds of free sketches, I've got Sketch Support, I make sketches for Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine, I've done free sketches for other companies, I've just done all kinds of free sketches. I wanted to go ahead and update this group and get it functioning again, because I love the idea of us having this one place where all the free sketches are, and galleries where we can upload layouts and get ideas and inspiration from the different ways that people use that sketch. So I have updated it. It should be good to go today, and there are now 88 galleries in this group. So now we have 12 by 12 inch layouts. We have 24 by 12 inch sketches. There are 8.5 by 11 inch sketches. There are card sketches. There are so many sketches in there. So I'm really excited to get this going again. I'm also going to be doing giveaways and challenges and just all kinds of stuff. So hopefully you will join me in that group. I will link to it down below so you can find it. So the second thing that I wanted to tell you about is a new series that I've been doing on my Facebook page. And it has been so much fun. It's called Create a Sketch Live, and I go live and we build a sketch together. So there are polls throughout the whole video where you get to choose certain elements of the sketch. So I kind of think of it as like a choose your own adventure with scrapbooking sketches. So it's been a lot of fun. So far, the 2 that we have created have been something that I don't know if I would have came up with on my own. So it's just been a lot of fun, and you get a little peek into how I build sketches and kind of how my brain works when it comes to designing. And I really think it's a lot of fun. So I'm going to link to that down below as well. We've got one coming up within the next few weeks. So hopefully you'll join us for that and help me build a sketch. So the last thing I want to mention is that I am currently teaching a class with Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine. It is a year-long class called Sketches 2024, and it's very similar to this Sketch Support series. We've got a monthly sketch. I show several options of how you can adapt and customize that sketch. I create multiple layouts to also further show you what you can do with the sketch. And there are lessons and challenges and process videos, and I do a monthly live video in that. There's also a Facebook group with albums, so you can upload your layouts as well. So it's really been a lot of fun. Right now we have just under 1,000 people in that Facebook group. So the galleries are pretty full. We're getting like 400 layouts per month. So that's a lot of inspiration, and there's been some really cool layouts in there. So I'm going to link to that down below. You can join at any time. It's a year long, so you've missed the live version of the class, but all the content's there. You can still get it. You can join at any time. So I will link to that down below, and hopefully you will join us there as well. So let's go ahead and jump into this video with a look at the sketch that I have used as the starting point for each layout in this video. This month we are working with a 2-page sketch. Some of the things that I really love about this sketch are the 5x7-inch photo. I love that there's this focal photo over here. I also love this strip of photos. You'll see that often in my designs. I love having this row of photos. What I love about this one is it's fairly small with only a 3.5-inch height. So you've got all this white space here, so you can easily add taller photos and kind of adjust to the middle if you need to. So there's a lot of options here for changing things up. Now I think my absolute favorite thing about this sketch are these 3 strips down here that lead to these 3 clusters of hearts. This is one of my favorite design elements that I like to use. There's so much you can do to change this. You can use the strips and lead to a different shape. So you could use stars or circles, or you could go with some sort of themed element like Easter eggs or Christmas presents or birthday hats. And you can also take it further with these strips and turn those into a themed element. So you could do like a road with cars on them, or you could do like flying planes, or, you know, a running dog or something like that. Another thing that I like about this sketch is this white space area here and how it really puts the focus on the photos. Now, if you're not entirely comfortable with white space, I know that that's a very common thing, so don't feel bad if I'm talking to you here, because that is a very common thing I hear. So if that's the case, if that white space kind of bothers you, you can always extend this or add more strips here and here. There's a lot you can do to kind of cut out that white space if that's not something you're comfortable with. So I ended up making quite a few changes to the sketch with my first layout. So a lot of you know that whenever I am deciding what to do with this sketch and the layouts that I share for sketch support, I tend to go with photos that I already have printed. So I am not printing photos that are custom fit to the sketch. Instead, I'm taking photos I already have printed and then I'm customizing the sketch to fit those photos. So a lot of my decisions that I make are based on my photos and what I can do with those. So the first biggest change I made was I flipped the sketch. So this side is over here, this side is over here. And if you've been around for a while, you know what I'm going to say here. The most common reason I do that has to do with my photos. I do not like having my subjects facing off the layout. So with this photo, had I used it on this side, Jackson would be facing off the layout. So the reason for that is that anytime you are looking at a layout and there's a person facing off the layout, personally, I feel like it's distracting. It's almost like you automatically, like our brains just immediately look to where they're pointing. So we're looking off the layout. So I don't like to have my subject facing off the layout. Now, sometimes you can't avoid that. That's completely fine. This isn't a major issue. I just tend to have some little quirks that I often have to work around, and this is definitely one of those. So I flipped the sketch so that everything was arranged this way, and then now I've got Jackson only pointing towards the intersection of the layout. So I did not have a 5x7-inch photo, but I did have a 4x6-inch photo, and then I used a 5x7-inch photo mat to match the photo on the sketch. So it's not quite the same, but it's close enough. So for that strips background on the sketch, there's just that single large one, but I love this checkered paper, and as the daughter of a man that used to race cars, I just can't imagine having a layout about cars and racing and not having this checkered print on there. So I had to find a way to work in a big section of that. So I did the wood background. I felt like it matched this fence so well. And then I cut a larger strip of this checkered print and put that on top of it. And then I also added a few accent strips on the edge. So for the background of the photos, I'm working with different photo sizes. I've got one 6x4-inch, one 4x4-inch, and then this one I cut to fit the space I needed. So it ended up being 5x4-inch. So they're still in that straight line on the sketch. It's just a different configuration of photos. So that's an easy way to always get a completely different look out of a sketch, or fit it to the amount of photos you need. You can always reconfigure these photo sizes to better fit what you need. So for my background, I went with vertical strips. I really wanted to work in a lot of color, mostly because really the only kind of bold colors in these photos are the brighter colors of these little cars, but it's just such a tiny amount in each photo. So I really kind of wanted to balance that by using those colors in these strips background. So there's a lot more paper here than what you see on the sketch, but I thought it was a good balance to my photos. So for those 3 strips that go across to the shape, I decided to turn those into little roads, and then I added some race car stickers, and I noticed on Jackson's shirt that the car has flames coming out of the back, so I decided to mimic that on my layout as well. So the strips don't lead to a shape. Instead, I've got my shape spread out on those strips. I also went with a smaller title that just says zoom, zoom, zoom on there. I still used a shape here and by the photo and by the journaling like you see on the sketch. I still wanted to make sure I had that visual triangle across the whole layout. With this layout, I once again made some pretty big changes to the sketch. This all hinges on my photos once again. I had 3 6x4-inch photos and then 4 4x3-inch photos, and I really have no idea what I was planning when I printed these photos, what kind of layout I was thinking of. But I love these photos. I love this baby collection paper from Echo Park, and so I decided to give it a go and try to make it work with this sketch. So starting on this side, instead of that 5x7-inch photo, I decided to use the 3 6x4-inch photos from top to bottom of the layout. So there's plenty of space there to do this. If you need to extend your photos to the top and bottom, this is a really easy way to work in extra photos. For the row of photos, I only had these 4 4x3-inch photos, and I could have arranged them like you see on the sketch with just a single row, but that kind of left me without a lot of pattern paper, and I really wanted to work in. I love the colors here. I love this orange. I love the dark blue. I love the green, the light blue. I really wanted to include as much of that as I could. So my solution was to cut 4x3-inch pieces and create little embellishment designs on each one. Then instead of doing that large photo mat that goes all the way around these photos. Since mine stretch a little further over, I decided to just use a strip at the top, and then I did a larger strip at the bottom. So it's got a similar look to this design, but it's just been altered to better fit with my photos. Then instead of having multiple shapes here that have those strips leading to them, I decided to just go with one single shape. I've got so much going on here that I felt like adding even more here would be a little too much. And then I added my title all the way across the bottom. And then the last change I made was to the journaling. At the sketch, it's in this top corner, but I had these 4x3-inch spaces, and that just seemed like the perfect fit for my journaling. So I just went ahead and added it there. I also still followed that same visual triangle that you see on the sketch by having the larger star here, another star over here, and another one over here. So with this one, you're probably looking at this and saying, yeah, that looks nothing like the sketch. And let me tell you, there is no set in stone way that you have to use a sketch. So sometimes you look at a sketch and you take one element from it and infuse that into your whole design. Or sometimes you take pieces from here and there and kind of mesh them together. So really, there's no wrong way to use a sketch. So even though my layout looks nothing like the sketch, I promise you the influence of this design is here. And I really think once you hear me go over my thought process and how this felt like it came from the sketch to me, you'll see what I'm saying. So the first thing I did, my focus is really on this part of the sketch. So this background for the photo is a rectangle. I decided to change up the shape since I'm working with a one-page layout and one photo. I thought it would be kind of fun to have a shape background instead. So I cut out a large heart on my silhouette. I had this really pretty paper from Heidi Swapp that was just so beautiful to me, and it kind of looked like kind of a beachy sunset and then water down here, so it felt like a really good fit for my photo and what I wanted to do with this. So I've only got this single 6x4-inch photo, so that kind of stands in for any of these that are on that background piece. Now for the strips down here that lead to a shape, I used this piece here is all one piece. So that was kind of my strip. And then these down here are considered those heart shapes. So it's very different, but it's taking that concept and applying it to a different theme, a different shape. There's so many ways you can infuse your own ideas into this design. So for these splash pieces, I cut them all on my silhouette, and then I added the hand stitch detail on there to really make this design stand out. I absolutely love the texture of stitching, so I really wanted there to be a lot of that in here and just really make those splashes and flourishes really stand out. So I should also mention too, with the stitching on this heart background, I always add like a stitched border on large backgrounds like this, and I thought it would be kind of unique to match the colors as it goes around the heart shape. So that was kind of fun to do, and I really, really liked the way that turned out. So for the title, mine's still down here along the bottom on the strip piece. And then my journaling is up above the photos. And then the last thing I added is this little cloud cluster just to kind of go with that whole beachy summer sunny day vibe of my layout. So that's it for this episode of Sketch Support. Remember, I'm going to link to everything down below so you can check out the Create a Live videos. You can come join us in the Creating with Sketches Facebook group. I'll also link, I've had a few new sketches that I've put out, so I will link to those as well. And hopefully you'll enjoy using these sketches as much as I enjoy creating them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.